Why do we run from stillness? If you had everything you've ever wanted, why do you still feel empty? We don't ask that question out loud, but we feel it, quietly, in the silence between achievements, in the stillness after the applause fades, in the middle of the night, when the world is asleep, but your mind refuses to rest. You see, we've been conditioned since birth to believe, happiness is out there. In a bigger house, a higher paying job, a better body, a perfect relationship, so we run, we climb, we collect, we compare, we chase one thing after another, thinking that peace is something we'll finally reach someday, but the truth, that someday never comes, because no matter how much you achieve, or how many goals you check off, it always feels like something's missing. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Daniel. On paper, he had it all, a 7-figure salary, a luxury apartment overlooking the city, the kind of watch that turns heads, and a car that makes people jealous at stoplights. He had charm, power, and a calendar booked with dinners, meetings, and elite events. People envied his life, but inside, he was exhausted. He couldn't sleep more than 3 hours a night, he felt anxious all the time, and despite the luxury around him, he often asked himself, is this really it? One night, after another high-stakes deal and a party that felt as empty as a showroom, Daniel stood by his floor-to-ceiling window, gazing at the city lights, and for the first time, he didn't feel bigger than the world. He felt like a tiny piece lost in it. He realized he had spent years building a life around him, but he had no idea how to be with himself. And here's where we begin to see the truth. What we're truly searching for isn't out there. It's not on the other side of success. It's not in the arms of someone else. It's not hidden inside material things. What we're craving is inner stillness, a sense of enoughness, a sense of home, within our own being. But no one teaches us how to look inward. We're taught to fix, change, improve, climb. We're rarely told to stop, breathe, and just observe, and that's where Buddhist wisdom begins to gently touch the heart. It reminds us, the mind that seeks peace in the world, must first make peace within itself. You can live in a peaceful environment, but if your mind is in chaos, you'll bring that chaos with you, everywhere you go. This is not about giving up on goals or growth, it's about changing the direction of the search. It's about realizing that maybe, just maybe, you're not missing anything outside, you're missing the connection within, and so the journey begins, not to climb another ladder, but to descend, gently, into the quiet corners of your own mind, because that's where peace has always been waiting for you to stop, to look in, to remember. You can build the perfect sandcastle, but you can't stop the tide. From the moment we wake up, we're trying to gain control over our time, control over our schedule, control over how people see us, control over the outcome of every little thing, and at first glance, it works. You plan your day, you organize your goals, you manage people, meetings, and moments with precision, but then, your phone rings with unexpected news. A loved one gets sick, the market crashes, a project fails, someone you trusted disappoints you, or maybe, the weather just doesn't agree, and just like that, everything feels like it's falling apart. Why? Because we made the mistake of believing we could control what was never ours to hold. Let's go back to Daniel, the man from our last story. After realizing that his outer success wasn't bringing inner peace, he tried a new strategy. Maybe, he thought, I just need more stability. So, he downsized, simplified his lifestyle, took fewer risks, even tried meditation. For a while, and for a few months, life seemed okay, but then, his company was acquired, his role changed overnight, a close friend moved away, and one morning, as he looked into his bathroom mirror, he felt the same knot tightening in his chest, the same old anxiety, different circumstances, same inner storm. You see, here's what Buddhist philosophy gently whispers to us: all compounded things are impermanent. The Buddha, everything outside of us, our jobs, relationships, health, status, wealth, is in constant motion, like clouds across the sky, like waves upon the sea, like the wind through the trees. To try and hold on to them, to cling to what's always shifting, is the root of our suffering. when we depend on the impermanent for permanent happiness, we are bound to feel betrayed by life. And that's the trap we fall into, isn't it? We build our identity on things we can lose. We seek peace in things that don't last. We invest all our energy in things we cannot control, and then wonder why we're exhausted, anxious, and never fully at ease. But here's the awakening moment. Control is not peace. Certainty is not peace. Attachment to stability is not peace. Peace is learning to be still. While everything else moves, to flow with life, instead of fighting the current, peace is not in controlling the storm, but in finding the eye of it, within. You are not your thoughts, you are the one who sees them. Let that sink in for a moment, because for most of us, life feels like a blur. We wake up, the mind starts running, and we're already caught in it. Thoughts, worries, planning, memories, judgments, and without realizing it, we get swept away in the river of our mind. We don't see the river, because we've become the current. Let's return to Daniel, our seeker. After trying, and failing, to control the outside world, he found himself sitting quietly in a local Buddhist temple. He didn't know what he was doing. He just knew he was tired of running. An old monk noticed him, and gently said, "Watch your thoughts. Like clouds passing through the sky, don't follow them. Don't fight them. Just observe." At first, Daniel didn't understand. His mind was too loud, his body restless, his doubt screamed, "This is pointless." But he kept coming back, day by day, breath by breath, until one morning, during meditation, something shifted. For a brief moment, he noticed a thought rise, "I'm not doing this right." But instead of getting caught in it, he simply saw it, then let it go, and in that space between thought and reaction, he discovered something extraordinary: silence, stillness, presence. He wasn't the thought, he wasn't the voice of judgment, he wasn't even the emotion rising in his chest. He was the awareness underneath it all, the space in which everything came and went. And that's when real transformation begins, because the moment you realize you're not the chaos inside your head, you finally start to disidentify from it. You stop feeding every negative spiral, you stop believing every anxious prediction, you stop reacting automatically to every irritation or craving. Instead, you observe, you breathe, you choose. In Buddhism, this quality is called mindfulness. But not in the commercialized, surface-level sense. True mindfulness is radical awareness. It's non-judgmental seeing, it's knowing, a thought is just a thought, a feeling is just a feeling, it's what I do with them that shapes my life. The Buddha once said, "In the scene, there is only the scene, in the herd, only the herd, in the thought, only the thought." What does that mean? It means we can experience life without being imprisoned by it. We can feel emotion without being consumed by it. We can notice fear without becoming afraid. This is the power of the silent witness, not a cold detachment, but a clear, compassionate seeing. You stop clinging to every emotion, you stop resisting every uncomfortable truth, you become like the mountain, grounded, watching the weather pass. The winds come and go, but you remain, still, aware, free, and this changes everything, because once you no longer believe every thought, once you no longer attach your identity to every mental storm, you rediscover the vast sky of peace that was always there, not created, not earned, but revealed, when the clouds clear. You spend your whole life running, until one day, you realize there's nowhere to run to. Most people live like they're in a race to succeed, to prove, to win, to be seen. They chase more money, more love, more validation, more security, and every time they reach what they thought would finally complete them, they find that the finish line has moved. Daniel was no different. For years, he was the ultimate chaser. He chased promotions, he chased relationships, he even chased spiritual enlightenment. Yes, even inner peace became another goal to conquer. He meditated harder, read every book, traveled to India, sat in silence for 10 days straight, chanted mantras with monks. And still, peace felt far away, like a butterfly he couldn't catch, until one afternoon, an old nun at a retreat whispered something that stopped him in his tracks. Peace doesn't come when you achieve, it comes when you stop needing to. Let that echo for a moment, because in our minds, we've been taught, if I do more, I'll be more. If I fix everything, I'll finally feel okay. But the truth is, the moment you stop chasing peace, is the moment peace can finally find you. It's not something you catch, it's something you uncover, once you stop running from the present. In Buddhist philosophy, this moment is called letting go. Not giving up, not apathy, but a sacred surrender. A release of the endless grip, on control, on expectations, on needing life to go your way, because when you let go, you create space, and in that space, peace arises, like a lotus from the mud. Let's go back to Daniel one last time. After hearing those words from the nun, he did something strange. He stopped trying so hard, he gave himself permission to not improve. To not become anyone, to not chase anything. He sat under a tree, and simply breathed, no mantra, no technique, no goal, just being, and for the first time, he didn't feel the need to become anything more than what he already was, and that was the moment peace touched him, not as an achievement, but as his true nature. Peace is not the end of the path, it's the path itself. We spend so much energy running towards something that was quietly sitting inside us all along. Like a traveler searching for his home, forgetting he's been standing in it the entire time. So now, ask yourself honestly, what are you still chasing? Approval, success, certainty, control, what if? Just for a moment, you let it go. What if you paused the race, and let life catch up to you? What you're seeking might already be whispering your name, from the stillness inside you. You are not broken, you've just forgotten who you truly are. Peace is not something distant, hidden in some mountain cave, or buried beneath years of hard meditation. It is not the prize at the end of effort, it is not reserved for saints or sages, it's already within you. But you forgot. As children, we knew how to be at peace. We could sit for hours, watching clouds drift by, playing with nothing but dirt and imagination. Laughing, crying, sleeping, without apology. We didn't need a reason to be happy, we didn't need to earn love, we didn't overthink everything, we just were. But somewhere along the way, we were taught to forget, taught that we had to be more. Do more, have more. We began to believe that peace lived in the future, after success, after the house, after the relationship, after we finally figured it all out. So we lost touch with that simple presence, that natural stillness, that quiet joy of just being. And here's the great irony, the more we search outside, the further we drift from what was never missing. You don't need to find peace, you need to remember it. Remember the part of you that's always been enough, that's untouched by your past, unshaken by your failures, undiminished by your wounds. Daniel experienced this one early morning. He had just woken up, no phone, no plans, no noise. He stepped outside as the sun was rising. The world was still, no striving, no pressure, no performance, just the wind, the golden light, the sound of birds, and his breath. And in that moment, he felt it, not excitement, not success, not even happiness, just a soft, steady peace, not dramatic, not euphoric, but real. And suddenly, tears filled his eyes, not because he found something new, but because he remembered something ancient. In Buddhism, this remembering is called returning to your true nature. The Zen master Huangpo once said, "The foolish seek outside, the wise turn inward." Because awakening is not a process of becoming more, it's a process of becoming less distracted, less attached, less forgetful, until all that remains is the pure awareness that's always been there. It's like cleaning a dusty mirror. Peace was always there, but it was hidden under layers of noise, thought, and ego. And when we begin to wipe away those layers, with mindfulness, with silence, with compassion, we don't create peace, we simply reveal it. So ask yourself, when did I forget who I truly am? When did I start believing I had to earn my worth? And more importantly, am I willing to remember again? Because peace doesn't shout, it doesn't chase, it simply waits, like an old friend, who's never stopped loving you. And the moment you pause, the moment you become still, you'll hear it whisper, "Welcome home." Silence is not empty, it's full of answers. If peace is already within us, If stillness is our natural state, then why do we run from it? Why do we constantly fill the silence with noise, the present with distractions, the simple with the complicated? Here's the truth: the mind fears stillness, not because stillness is dangerous, but because stillness reveals, when you're still, there are no more places to hide, the grief you buried, the guilt you avoid, the anger you mask with productivity, the loneliness you drown in entertainment. They all start to rise, and the ego, which thrives on distraction, starts to panic. It whispers, "Don't stop. Keep scrolling. Keep doing. Keep moving. Anything but feel." But in Buddhism, we are taught, only by facing the storm, can you find the eye of it. Stillness doesn't cause the discomfort, it simply exposes what was already there. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young woman named Leah. She had everything: success, friends, comfort, but inside, she felt anxious all the time. She couldn't sit still. Silence made her restless. Being alone felt unbearable. So she kept moving, from project to project, city to city, relationship to relationship. One day, exhausted and desperate, she signed up for a 5-day silent retreat. On the second night, she almost left. "It's too much," she said. "I feel like I'm falling apart." But an old monk looked at her with kind eyes and replied, "You are not falling apart, you are falling into yourself." And that's the shift. What we fear in stillness is not the silence, but what we might discover beneath the noise. Yet that discovery is the beginning of real healing, because only when we stop running can the wounds we carry begin to breathe. In Zen, there's a saying, "The obstacle is the path." Meaning, whatever you're avoiding, whatever comes up in the stillness, is not the problem, it is the doorway. The fear, it's an invitation to sit, to feel, to heal. So how do we begin to embrace stillness? Not by forcing, not by perfecting, but by gently allowing. Start small. Sit for 2 minutes in silence, not to control your thoughts, but to witness them. Notice how the mind flinches, how it wants to reach for something, anything, and instead of reacting, just breathe. Come back to the body, come back to now. The mind may resist, that's okay. The goal is not to stop the mind, it's to stop being controlled by it. In time, the turbulence fades, like mud settling in water, clarity begins to return, and in that clarity, you start to see what was always there, a deeper self. A quiet joy, a peace that doesn't depend on anything. This is what Buddhism calls coming home. Not to a place, but to a presence, to the part of you that can sit in stillness and say, "Even this is enough." And here we are, the last chapter of our journey together. We've walked through the noise, we've faced the distractions, the fears, the restlessness. We've realized that peace is not something to find, but something to remember, something to return to. And after all the searching, after all the chasing, the truth is simple. True peace has always been right here, waiting for you, waiting for me, waiting for us all, in the quiet space of our own hearts. The heart, it's not just a symbol of love and emotion, it's the center of our being, the place where stillness resides, the place that holds the deepest, truest parts of ourselves. It's where your true nature lies. Before the world told you who to be, before your mind told you what you needed to do to be happy, the heart knows. It knows that peace is simple. It's not something to chase, it's not something to earn, it's already here. Now, you may be asking, how do I find my way back to this peace? You've already started. You've taken the first step simply by being here, by being present, listening, willing to open your heart. But the real journey, it's the one you take every day, the small, intentional steps, to come home to yourself. Start by pausing, take a breath, sit in stillness for a moment, and feel your chest rise and fall, not to force anything, not to make the silence go away, but to simply be with it. Let your heart speak. You don't have to do anything to earn this peace, it's already part of you. One of the greatest lessons the Buddha taught is that peace is a natural state of mind, and as we practice mindfulness, as we slow down, listen, and simply return, we reconnect with that state, and it's through that connection that we start to heal, that we start to trust, that we start to rest. The world will keep moving, life will continue to present its challenges, but now, you know where true peace lies, not in the things you own, not in the success you achieve, but in the stillness of your heart, where the present moment is enough. This is where your transformation begins, not tomorrow, not in the future, but right now, because peace is not somewhere else, it's not a destination you'll arrive at in the future. It's here, right here, in this breath. In this moment, in the warmth of your heart. So, I invite you, dear listener, take a moment to reflect. Where do you find peace in your life? Where in your heart do you feel the stillness? That is always there, waiting for you, and if this journey has resonated with you, if you felt the stirrings of something greater within yourself, I encourage you to continue exploring. Join us in this journey of mindfulness, presence, and peace, and remember, you are always welcome here, at Zen Buddhism Wisdom. If you found value in this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tap the notification bell so you never miss another video, and become part of our growing community, where we practice returning to the heart, together. Thank you for being part of this experience. Now go, and remember, peace is not something to find, it's something to return to. And it's always been with you.